Caught wife sexting. Advice. Story 1. To provide some context for my title and story, I, 36, have been married for 12 years to my wife, 33. We have a best friend relationship where we have always been really close. We've also been through a lot together. We have 3 kids. A bit of context is that she was sexually abused by her stepdad. About 7 years ago, she began counseling for that and started sharing more details with me. She's also had a struggle with watching explicit content since she was very young. Her counselor has discussed with her how this was her way of coping with what happened to her. In summary, for the past 5 years or so, she has been trying to stop watching explicit content. Once she got over the explicit content, she got into erotic literature. About a year ago, she told me she felt consumed by it and asked me to put parental controls on her phone to help her refrain. I did not enforce this, as I'm trying to be supportive of her journey. If she didn't feel bad, I wouldn't think much about it. But she says it sends her into a shame or depression spiral, and she doesn't like it. Around 2 years ago, I attended counseling with her because she felt like she wanted more from our sex life. I'm fairly routine or quick, and I've genuinely tried to improve. However, this has been a recurring theme where she feels like she has a higher sex drive than me. To be honest, I don't think it's a higher sex drive. I think it's more about me being comfortable with doing the same thing every time. Anyway, all of this sets the backdrop. Last week, we received a letter in the mail about renewing our dental insurance, and it was in her email. She asked me to renew it, so I opened her email on the computer. We share one and use separate Chrome profiles. I came across some shocking content in her email. I didn't want to make her feel bad, especially since she has been in a depression slump. So I realized there was likely a correlation once again. The next day, while the kids were at school, we went for a walk, and I tried to bring up the topic of how she was dealing with everything, and if it played a role in her mood. She was resistant to talking, so I didn't push. A few days later, we were planning to have sex while the kids were at school. I was waiting for a break in work meetings, and she went upstairs. When I went up, I realized she was listening to something explicit. Essentially, she was trying to get herself in the mood. This escalated because I felt disrespected, and we had an argument. I asked if there was anything else I needed to know about, and she said no. I then asked if I could see her phone, and she immediately opened it and started deleting something. I asked what it was and found out that she had subscribed to some Patreon accounts where males were creating explicit content for subscribers. We decided that I should join her at her next counseling appointment, tomorrow, to gain some perspective on this. The more we talked, the more she expressed that her needs weren't being met by me. She also mentioned that she's been uncomfortable having sex with me for the past 6 months, but she doesn't know why. Today, I was homesick, and she was out of the house. I had a suspicion that there was more she wasn't sharing, so I logged into her TikTok account. She used to spend hours on it. Her profile was discreet, not revealing her true identity, and she was only following strangers. No, actual people No. I checked her messages, and there were only a few. I assumed the rest were deleted. She had reached out to several guys for explicit messaging. One of them while she was on a girls' trip in February, and she said I would have used a hookup app, but that seems like too much effort. So I'm trying to find someone here who's in the same mood as me. I pondered what to do for 3 hours. I know it was an invasion of privacy, but I also feel like there's a pattern here, and I'm not sure how far it goes. Personally, I consider texting or messaging a real person as a form of cheating. I've never felt that way about explicit content, seen it as her own struggle. Now, I am concerned about how far this has gone. She asked me later today if I had logged into her TikTok. My login sent her an email. I told her what I found, and she basically shut down. She allowed me to look at her phone, and I didn't find anything else. But I feel like she could have deleted it. She started to get defensive and said it's partly my fault because our sex life hasn't been satisfying enough for her. How can I trust her again? How do we move beyond this? I caught my wife sexting other men. What do I do now? Comment 1. What's even more surprising is that I often hear people say that Reddit is just a misogynistic place where women are hated by everyone. But then, why is it that all the popular subreddits are actually sexist against men, especially the relationship-focused ones? The same question can be asked, and depending on the gender, you'll get different answers. If it's a woman, she's supported regardless of what she did, just like in this post. If it's a man, he's usually blamed, told he should have been smarter, etc. People are literally blaming the guy for his wife's actions. Like, what the hell, people? Can you imagine if a guy said he was cheating on his wife because she couldn't satisfy him? He would be called the most vile, evil person ever, and it would be reposted on every women-focused subreddit, like Tox Chromosomes, and they would start shaming the guy. Comment 2. Sounds like she's been saying for a long time that she's not satisfied, and you've just let it be a here problem for years. You leave her feeling restricted and deprived in the one place where she is allowed to express her sexuality. Your bedroom. You deflect and invalidate the issue as being something other than what she is trying to express. You can sit on your high horse if you feel better up there, but something was bound to give. If you quit and leave, she'll grieve and then be free to finally explore her sexuality on her terms instead of yours. You need to put more effort into fucking your wife. Has got to be one of the best problems you can draw. Definitely not too late to fix this. Sext your wife. Read her erotica. Learn what she likes. Comment 3. From a male that was sexuality abused as a child, she has a sex addiction. This can manifest in many ways, as you have seen. As a youth, she learned that her value and self-worth came from her sexuality. She has spent her life chasing acceptance and filling a void that comes from that feeling. Porn, sexual fantasy, erotic literature, and sexual objectification have all fed into that mindset. While this is going on, she also knows it's not what she should be feeling, and it creates self-loathing, and depression. But just like a drug addict, she's chasing something she can't achieve, only get a small snippet of. She needs to speak to a therapist well-versed in SA and have a true desire to change. It is a hard mental habit to break, and only she can do it. She has to face the truth. Feel free on your part to research how sexual addiction, porn, etc. change brain patterns. And she has to want to better herself and put the work in. It's up to you as to whether or not you can forgive and move on or not. There is no right answer. Only what is right for you. Best of luck. Comment 4. You need to decide what you want the outcome of this to be. You have 3 kids that you need to think about. If you aren't able to forgive her for what she has done, you need to leave so that your resentment doesn't impact your children. You are more than justified of this, is the route you need to take. If you think you could forgive her, you need to work on your communication so that she is comfortable talking to you about these things. This means not getting into an argument when she says something that hurts you, but is an honest reflection of where she's at. You need to work with your therapist to get to a point where she is able to tell you what has happened in a way that you'll believe and trust. If you decide to stay together, you need to find a middle ground for your sex life that works for both of you. There are lots of things you can try. From you making a commitment to spicing things up, find out what she needs in this regard and do it if you're comfortable, to allowing her to see other people if you aren't as interested in sex as she is. Again, if that's a non-starter, then don't consider it. You both are playing a role in this and need to compromise. I think a good starting point is to really think about what she has done and be able to articulate what it is about her actions that are hurtful. Different people would react differently to each betrayal, and you need to think about what you want and what you are willing to give up. And then have A conversation with her where you tell her those things. Commit to yourself that you will not argue with her in that conversation, and tell her how you're feeling and what you want. See how she responds. Give her time if she needs it. Sleep on it, then see how you feel. Sorry you are going through this. Good luck. Story 2. Would you get offended if you notice a stranger woman taking safety precautions when she sees you? Egg. Not going in the elevator with you, making sure her car is locked if you pass by in a parking lot, getting on the phone with someone, etc. Offended? No. Saddened? A bit. I don't think of myself as threatening in any way. So when other people, children, women, other men, find me threatening, it can be disheartening when I strive to be jovial, approachable, and make people feel safe. That being said, I'd rather a woman feel safe, no matter what that looks like, than feel good about not being threatening, even if they know me really well. I try to take precautions to make people feel safe. I'll meet them outside my apartment if they are picking me up. Make sure to always invite and include any significant others. Comment 1. I wouldn't be offended. I remember one time on campus last year. It was cold and dark, and I was walking back to my dorm wearing a hoodie. I saw a female friend of mine ahead of me, and I started jogging to catch up to her so we could walk and talk. I was confused at first when she started running. 2. Until I realized what she must have been thinking. Realizing I was an idiot, I stopped running and called out to her. It was a good laugh of relief when she realized it was me. Comment 2. Not so much offended as slightly saddened. It is a cold, cruel world sometimes. And while I wish precautions didn't need to be taken, I understand that they do. Personally, I try to do things to put strangers at ease and help them feel more comfortable around me. If I am walking around at night and there is a woman in front of me who seems nervous, I'll pull out my phone and call a friend. It helps her know where I am and that I have other things on my mind. Alternatively, if I am at a crosswalk with someone, I will walk a bit faster to get ahead of her and then resume my normal walking pace. That way, I'm not walking close behind or having to deal with a slow walker, so this is a win-win. Life can be tough, and these are little things we can do to be kind to each other. It's not a matter of you're a big, scary man. It is a matter of you are someone I don't know who could hurt me. If I have to take an extra few seconds of my day to alleviate that stress, it is well worth it to help make my corner of the world a better place. Comment 3. In college, I delivered pizzas in my family's old full-size van. It wasn't quite the creepy van with no windows, but it was dark-colored with tinted windows. At any rate, it was a cold 15 to 20-ish degree night, and I was taking a short delivery. The customer to answer the door, about 5 to 6 scantily clad women, in heels, slowly passed with some complaining about the cold. I asked if they needed a ride somewhere, and they excitedly exclaimed, "Yes, please." So I told them once I was done with this delivery, I could give them a lift. Well, I finish up and jump in my van, parked around back, and pull up to them. They hadn't made it 40 more feet, and ask where they need to go. A few slowly approach the van when one in the back whispers that's the date. Rape van, which prompts them all to take off running and screaming, "Date rape van." Up campus in the middle of the road with their arms flailing in the air like a cartoon scene. For a moment, I was confused, then a bit embarrassed. But all in all, it makes sense. I grew up rural as Marika, and there was nothing wrong with my van there. But in a city, it was different. Thank you so much for watching and for your time. It means a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I would be happy about a like from you. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. The community benefits. Remember to subscribe to my channel and activate the bell to not miss anything. Have a great day. See you back here soon.